Well, let's meet our first guest, shall we? He's a young Irish actor whose star is most definitely on the rise. He has been championed by Hollywood heavyweight Steven Spielberg and is set to star in one of the highest-grossing movie franchises in recent years, Transformers. Last Saturday, he won an IFTA for his breakout performance in the Irish film What Richard Did. Would you welcome, please, Jack Reynor, ladies and gentlemen.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers, robots in the sky. Transformers.
That's nice. That's fun.
Well, I'm so pleased to have you on this show because I've been banging a drum about your performance and What Richard Did and everything else. So welcome to the Late Late Show.
Thanks a million.
Life is going well for you. Last Saturday you picked up an IFTA for Best Actor. How was Saturday night last week?
It was amazing. Well, what a feeling going up on stage and collecting that. Especially Saoirse giving it to me as well. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
Because you're probably in the same age group. So what age are you, Jack?
I'm 21. I've turned 21 a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she's been around the block a little bit. Congratulations. Are you?
Cheers.
So we'll talk about the film and everything happening, but now that you're kind of in a zone of celebrity and fame, how are you adjusting to this new strange life?
I have changed my number and I moved away from home.
That's the first things you do, are they?
Yeah, no, it's funny because the film actually came out. I was away when the film came out.
Yeah.
I was away in the States shooting the film. And when I came home, it was interesting to see the reaction that people had to it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of shocked a little bit because people were coming up to me in the street and stuff and saying, you know, I saw your film and really enjoyed it. And, you know, that was crazy.
And are you getting used to that that sense of public ownership where they can just pop up and get the photo and...
I suppose so, in a way. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. It's kind of nice to be recognised.
God.
Right.
So you're enjoying
yeah,
it. Let's talk about the movie then. Tell us a bit, for those who haven't seen it, tell us what it's...
Joe, just before we
go ahead.
go on, actually, because I made a terrible mistake at the IFTAs the other night.
What did you do?
I didn't thank my agents.
Your agents?
Yeah.
Do you still have them?
Oh, well, actually, my agent's mother is sitting right there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so I just want to say thanks to Derek Mulvey and James Farrell, because I couldn't have got here without them. I wouldn't be sitting here.
Did you thank all the other relevant people in your life as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, the important ones.
I did.
At home and everything else. Okay, good. What about the film then? Tell us, as I say, for those who haven't seen it, what's it about?
What Richard Did is a film about a young guy who's grown up in South Dublin, and he goes to one of those South Dublin rugby schools. And he's a really good young man, you know, he's just a nice guy, decent guy. We all know somebody like him is, you know, kind of quite popular and gets on well with everybody, and he just makes this awful mistake and ends up killing somebody in a bit of a brawl on a night out. And the film is kind of a study into how he kind of unravels as a person, emotionally and mentally, in all sorts of ways after that.
Okay, we'll have a clip of it before we go on talking about it. Have a look at this, from What Richard Did.
Nobody else knows who killed my boy. Nobody else suspects their own safe son. You know. I know. You know. And you're breaking our hearts again for not speaking up.
Yeah, that's... It's a very difficult film, as obviously to watch it, and there's echoes of a famous or infamous case, of course, some years ago. But were you surprised at the success of the film?
Yeah, we never thought it was going to do as well as it
Really?
did. Yeah, I think we were all kind of a little bit afraid actually before it came out that it was going to bomb.
Yeah.
But no, it did do really well, and we were all surprised. I think it was when Lenny and I went over to Toronto with the film in September of 2012. It was kind of a thing where we were doing a lot of interviews, and everybody had this, you know, really positive response to the film. And I remember Lenny turning around and going, I think we've actually made a good one here. And we were like, yeah, so it was great.
Did your character, because you make it look so, I was saying to you in the green room, chatting with you and your mum earlier, about how effortless you made the character, the acting. You know, good acting when somebody, it doesn't look like they're acting. Would you have been familiar with the social milieu, the circles?
Yeah, of course. Like, I went to a similar school to that, and I knew that world. I knew a lot of guys like that. I had a lot of friends who weren't dissimilar to Richard. And yeah, it's a world that I would have been familiar with growing up, certainly. And I think that kind of lent to what you're saying about the natural element. But of course, we did spend 8 months workshopping that film before we shot it. We spent an awful lot of time discussing it and every different tiny little piece.
And get the language right.
Exactly. And that's just Lenny's skills as a director.
Yeah.
He's incredible, and he really loves every project that he goes into. He's 100% behind it, and he really makes sure it's all pitch perfect.
We're talking about Lenny Abrahamson, of course, who's
Yeah.
responsible for some of the best Irish films of recent times, and this being one of them, I think, personally. Was it tough to film? Because it looks, even in the clip we saw there, it looks grueling from an acting point of view, because you're going to the range of emotions, but it gets very, very
Yeah, it
heavy,
was.
and you're holding that.
Yeah, well, what was difficult, more so than anything else, really, was we did shoot quite long hours on that film.
Yeah.
Because we shot it in 5 weeks. But it was one of those things where we couldn't shoot chronologically. So you'll notice at the start of the film, Richard's one way, and then at the end of the film, he's a completely different way.
Yeah.
And they're quite... there's a big range of very kind of intense emotion. And it was something that I was kind of having to jump in and out of the whole time, you know what I mean? Every day.
So happy-go-lucky one stage,
exactly.
distraught
And then an hour
next.
later, you know, falling apart and screaming and, you know...
Did it impact on you personally, the movie? And the
Absolutely.
experience? In what way?
Absolutely. Well, kind of through our discussions over those 8 months and stuff, there was a lot of stuff that I learned about myself, really, in a lot of ways, and I kind of felt that I was a different person walking away from that film.
Better person?
I don't know whether I'd say better or not, but I certainly put a lot less pressure on myself.
Did you?
Yeah, because, you know, that's kind of, I think, one of the key themes of the film is that this is a young guy who puts so much pressure on himself, and we see this all the time. Yeah. This is a huge thing in Irish schools, the pressure of the leaving certain on young people, and you know how that can affect them. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. It's really it's tough on them, and you see how people unravel and kind of go to pieces, and they put so much pressure on themselves to perform, and it can often wind them up to the point where they break, and I've seen it happen. So you're on
the cusp of great things, and when we look at your early career, even though you're only 21, you started off as a very young fellow in the acting world. You're smiling at me now as if to say, where are we going? I think you probably know exactly where we're going.
I do, actually.
Why don't you tell them, or would you rather me tell them?
Oh, you go ahead.
No, you tell them.
No.
Or would we just show it?
Fire away. Yeah.
Do you want to see the do you want to see the ad Jack did when he was about 6? Run the ad, please.
Them bones need calcium.
You know, a child's got more bones than a grown-up's got.
All the more for me to nibble on. Them bones need calcium. Them bones need calcium. Them bones need calcium.
And hey, that's a natural law.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That was a big break for you.
That was the big one.
I have to say, did you win a NIFTA for that?
I should have.
You should have. I can't believe you didn't get into Les Mis. What did you presumably got paid for that? It wasn't child labour.
Yeah,
So what did you do
I did,
for the...
and we got that ad ran for 10 years, which was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I was telling everybody in school, oh yeah, I'm going to be an actor, and like, oh yeah, you're milk ad, yeah. But in fact, the royalties on that over those 10 years, I built up enough money that I bought a car when I was 17 with that. I bought a convertible. Now, it was a hairdresser's car. It was a powder blue Citroen, but it was convertible, and I was happy with it.
Was that a female hairdresser or a male hairdresser?
It's a female hairdresser.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about the recent developments, because I was reading about this, the big Hollywood call. You got a call from one of the great directors working in Hollywood at the moment.
I did.
Who is?
Well, I got a call from from Michael Bay, actually.
To say what?
Which was crazy, to say that he was gonna put me in Transformers.
Right.
Which I kind of can't believe. It's kind of strange coming out of my mate still. Nuts.
It's funny sitting beside you because you're like somebody who doesn't actually believe what you've just
No,
said.
I don't.
You know, you're just going to go, some guy got signed for Transformers.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It was like I was away shooting in the States, and I was in the middle of this film, The Delivery Man.
Yeah. Which we were talking to Simon Delaney about last week because
yeah,
he's in
exactly,
it with Vince Vaughn. So
exactly,
there you are.
yeah. So we did that film, and Simon was great crack on that film.
I'd
as well.
say. There's some
It
messing,
was serious messing.
Yeah.
But I won't say too much about that.
No, don't.
But one way or the other, I went through an auditioning process. I had to go out to LA during kind of a break in the middle of the shoot. We were shooting in New York, and I went out to LA for 2 weeks, but during that time, the hurricane ripped through, so I stayed for an extra 2 weeks.
How much did you have in your pocket when you went to LA the first time?
Oh, that was a different time.
We'll go back to that in a
You're
second.
talking about a different time.
Right, so you went out.
So this time I went to LA, right? And it was crazy. I went over, and those 2 extra weeks just lent me enough time to finish out the auditions process for Transformers.
Right.
And then I didn't hear anything for 2 weeks, and when I came back, Michael Bay, I got an email. I'd left my phone down in the trailer, and I got an email, and it just said, "It's Bay, call me," and his mobile number.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. So I went outside and I called him on the phone, and he said, it's a kind of a testament to the way he is. He said to me, he goes, "How's it going, Jack?" I was like, "Okay, I'm not too bad. I'm in New York shooting away." And he goes, "Right, very good, very good. Are you enjoying it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm having a great time." And he goes, "Good." Didn't work out, Jack.
Oh, no.
And I went, "Oh, man," and I was good. And then he went, "Nah, I'm just messing with you. Of course it did."
Oh, for God's sake. Oh, that's nice.
I couldn't believe it. It's
God.
cool though. That's the way he is. I think it's nice. It's an endearing way to be.
How did Steven Spielberg come into your world?
Well, this is the funny one. This is what we were going to say
go
a
on,
second
tell me
ago.
about it.
So, there was nothing going on at all after what Richard did, and then I couldn't get auditions anywhere. Nothing was happening. And then all of a sudden, Toronto happened, and I went out to Toronto, and I was booked to go out to LA after that. Element Pictures booked me to go out. So I went out to LA, but I only had $30. Well, it was 40 actually, truth be told.
So you were loaded.
But Lenny Abramson gave me those $40.
Did he?
Yes, he did. We were at Toronto. It was the night after we'd finished the screening, and he gave me these $40. And I'd met this guy at a party that night who was a friend of my agent's. And he said, "Where are you going to stay when you get to LA?" And I was like, "I have no idea." And he goes, "Okay, here you go." And he drops the keys of his 4-story townhouse in West Hollywood in my hand. He goes, "There you go, you can stay there." I was like, wow. So I went out to LA, I had this house, and I had $40. And I was lent a car as well. So that was amazing. I couldn't be set up better, except I only had $40. So one way or the other, I put the $40 into the car, and for the first 2 days I drove around doing meetings. And I went down to do this one particular meeting with Jan McCarthy down in Santa Monica. She was doing the casting for a film at the time, which was called Starbuck.
Yes.
And I went in and I did the casting for it, and 2 hours later I was on the way home on Santa Monica Boulevard, and I got a call from James and from the rest of my team in WME, and they said, "Well, we just got a call from DreamWorks. Seems like Steven Spielberg watched your tape and you've just been cast in the film." And I got an advance the next day, and now here I am.
And here you are. Well, it's a great story. It's a great story, Jack. I don't know if you're planning to move to LA. Are you permanently?
I'm not actually.
No, you're going to stick
because
around.
I've got, I'm happy to stay home. I've got a 5-year-old brother and a 6-year-old sister,
Okay.
Jessica and Harry, who I love very much, and I want to watch them grow up. And for that reason, I'm going to keep my base here.
Good on. It's a great story, and it's great to celebrate your success, and on it goes. I think this will be the first of many visits to this show. Keep on doing what you're doing. Jack Reynor, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks very much.
Good on you, Jack. Good, I like that.